Warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Hello guys and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am really looking forward to sharing this topic with you and really hope that it's one that resonates with you as well, because it's a weird one for me actually, because I want to share with you today the complete and utter U-turn I've had on a word that I've been using in my vocabulary for many, many years now, but it's suddenly become something that I'm not really comfortable with and I actually want to avoid. Now, I should say there are not going to be any swear words in this today. It's not a bad word, but I will obviously explain more as we work our way through the episode. As we go through, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the word used to mean to me, how I have had a bit of an awareness around the word. I'm also going to offer you just 5 really simple tips that you might want to go away and explore and try working with yourself if you feel that it's something that might need a little bit of a tweak in your life. And as I always say, both in my groups that I run, in the Facebook community, and I'm going to be saying more on here as well, please do share your thoughts on this episode. Obviously, these are all my thoughts. This is my interpretation of life and business, and I thoroughly understand that we all come from different places, have different viewpoints, have different experiences. So I obviously would love to hear from you as well on all of the topics that I will be covering in coming weeks and months. So today's word is busy. Busy. I'd love us to just sit with that word for a minute. What does busy mean to you? Is it something that you can really relate to? Is it a word that is used regularly in your vocabulary? Maybe it's something that you use often in your working life, but less so in your home life. Or maybe it's not used at all. It would be really interesting to hear whether you use it a lot, a little, or not at all. Now, feels funny really to be talking about this, because how on earth can my feelings about a word have changed? It sounds peculiar, but they really, really have. My language not so long ago included the word busy quite a lot. Hey Jo, how are you? Oh, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, pretty busy. Yeah, things are busy. And I hear other people say it as well. Would it be weird if I were to have answered that question with, yeah, I'm good. I'm really calm and rested right now. I've been really gentle with myself. It's almost as if being busy was a little bit of a badge of honor, actually. And I don't doubt that people still feel that now. To be busy sounds to be you're in demand, you've got lots going on. Maybe if you run a business, you've got lots of clients, or if you're doing lots of things in your personal life, it means that you're on top of things and progressing. There's a certain glow about it. But badge of honor is definitely something that I feel is a good way of referring to it, actually, because it's almost showing that you are doing great. But my view of it now is perhaps not that. So like I say, my language was very much using the word and the vibe around busy. And I also noticed I was really drawn to maybe magazine articles, certainly stationery. For any other stationery lovers out there, and I know there are lots of you, people that love diaries and notebooks and journals and what have you. I absolutely was drawn to these with that kind of wording, that kind of messaging around them. For example, I am very busy on the front of a journal. Busy being busy on the front of a diary. I had a very busy life planner, and it was really cute and it was beautifully illustrated, and I really, really enjoyed using it. But my goodness, the lists in it were extortionate. They went on forever. And I do wonder whether I ever got to the end of those busy, busy lists. Always busy. There you can go online right now, and if you want to find that messaging on diaries and on notebooks, then you really won't have to look far at all. It's almost as if people need to aspire to be busy, as if busy is successful. But I have come to the conclusion personally that that isn't necessarily the answer. So what changed for me? I think that is something that we have to explore here, because otherwise, why on earth would I have suddenly changed my opinion of this word and this message that was being sent to me and I was sending out into the world as well? Well, I feel that being busy has resulted in me really struggling. Trying to do all the things is hard. Being busy and feeling like it's what I should be rather than being, and really being able to recognize what would serve me they're very different things. Very different things. So I guess I realized, maybe in a moment of contemplation when I was forced to rest because I had burnt out. So I realised that life isn't a race, nor is it a competition. And actually, busy doesn't necessarily mean being successful or indeed productive. I think we can all get through our days and feel we have done a gazillion things, but have all of those things that we've done been A, necessary, or B, fully productive? Now, I think that as the years have rolled on and as technology has just exploded and grown, there have been so many benefits. But I also believe that we've almost had our perceptions slanted on our productivity and our lives. And I believe that something that we don't necessarily always get time to acknowledge or sit with and truly pick apart is the fact that we have got so many more things these days that are demanding our time and our attention. And one of those things is technology. So we might feel we've had the craziest, busiest week. We might not have got to the end of our to-do list, our actions that we wanted to take, whether in our life or in our business. And we can get to Friday and still be working into the evening because we haven't got everything done. We've been so busy all week, but we still haven't accomplished everything we need to accomplish. But I don't think that we necessarily take a moment to pause and to take stock and to really assess where our time has been utilised, how it's been spent, maybe where it has just been sort of drained from us. I believe that things like social media and WhatsApp, both in our working lives and our personal lives, can actually blur our focus. I think they can be incredibly distracting. And I think that we can sometimes, and I definitely have fallen prey to this, we can sometimes think we're being really busy doing all the things, but actually we're just trying to get through all of the WhatsApps and all of the social media notifications, but we're not actually working on the true things we need to be working on. And because it's so constant and our attention is being drawn to those things, we feel it's important that we do them and we take action on them. And therefore, our life is very busy because it's not like back in the olden days. When I say the olden days, I mean days gone by when I was, an adult and working, when we had fax machines, or take it back further, when we actually had to wait for a letter to arrive in the post before we could even read it, let alone take the time to respond to that letter, pop it back in the mail, and get it to wherever it needs to get to. A good example of this was I recently found the offer letter for my first ever job. And I thought, wow, that's bonkers. I didn't get that letter until a couple of days after the job had been offered. Maybe these days you might be offered a job and you just have to click a little tick box on an app to say that you've accepted it. And that can all happen within a matter of moments. But the fact that everything's happening so much quicker these days means that we're getting so much more coming through to us. It's easier for people to comment on a social media post or send a WhatsApp message than it is to type it in a letter and take it to a post box and send it to somebody, and then for them to receive it. So I believe that we're cramming in so much more than we ever did before, and we've almost just not even acknowledged it, really. We haven't acknowledged how busy that makes our minds and how overwhelming that feeling is, because we just get on with it. Technology has kind of snuck into our lives and it's gradually taken more and more of a hold. So I think it's really important that we do take time to look back on a week, assess where did our time go, and really start popping some boundaries in place to ensure that we are being busy in the right way. So being productive and accomplishing in the things that we need to do. Things that will benefit our lives, things that will benefit our business, not just dealing with the constant flow of messaging and noise that comes from the outside. I think it's about being kinder to ourselves, actually, in both language and in actions. So use words that are calmer and kinder and more gentle. And don't tell yourself, I'm busy, I'm running late, I've got so much to do today. Tell yourself, I can do this. I'm not going to overdo it today. I'm going to take things in a gentle and controlled manner. I'm going to stay focused. And moving on to focus, I believe that we need to really get concentrating on the things that we need to do. And I should just add, and I meant to say this, to me, these days, success is to be happy. Pure happiness, for me, is success. Because what is the point of running ourselves into the ground and having that amazing figure in our bank account if we're not happy? And that's possibly a topic for another day, because I could talk an awful lot around that. So yeah, we will note that one for another day. So getting back to being productive and concentrating on the right things. Who says we need to do all the things and be everything to everyone? Is that something you believe you have to do? Do you have to do everything? Do you have to be wearing all of these hats? Is that your language? Is that your message to yourself? Or perhaps is that society's message to us? Now, I'll say this many times in this podcast, but when I talk about how does she do it, I truly believe that she doesn't do it all. Not without burnout or a very overwhelming situation. We really can't do it all. And we don't have to be super women. I really believe that. I think something about women is that we are celebrated for doing it all, which is where I refer to society's message to us all. I feel that we are renowned for being multitaskers, for wearing all the hats. And actually, I've learnt the hard way I've learnt that by trying to multitask everything and be everything to everyone and saying yes all the time and wearing all of these different hats, I've learnt that that just leads to burnout for me. And speaking with many of my clients and the ladies in our online community, I hear it from them as well. So I know that this isn't exclusively my situation. This happens all of the time with all sorts of women of differing levels of business, whether someone's been in business for a very short time or a very long time. It doesn't matter. To burn out is not specific to one particular type or time in your life. So because of my burnout, I have almost had to make changes. I really feel that single tasking is the most productive and effective way to do things now. And it transpires that multitasking is so last year, whereas it was so celebrated before, another badge of honour that we had to kind of live up to wearing. Also wearing all the hats. We don't need to do all the things. We need to get a bit brave and start taking things off our to-do list or passing them on to other people. So this is really something that I would love you to explore. I invite you to think about your average week or your average day and break it down. What's on that list? What are you doing all the time? What are you perhaps doing without even realizing it that perhaps someone else could do or maybe doesn't even need to be done? It can be a really difficult thing to do, actually, to sit and get quiet with yourself and to really listen to your thoughts and your feelings around what you're doing in your life. So it's a big question to start asking, but one well worth exploring as far as I'm concerned. A way that I really started focusing and concentrating on my actions and productivity in my business was to start single tasking, like I mentioned. And I started using the Pomodoro technique, which is such a valuable yet such an easy and simple technique to utilize in both home life and work life, actually. And it involves working in increments of 25 minutes. So I call them 25-minute bursts. And it means that you get focused on what you're going to be doing. You cut out all distractions and you set the timer for 25 minutes and you do as much as you can during that time. Now, you might be working on an epic project, in which case you just do 25 minutes on that project and you know that you're only making a tiny chip out of it, but that is progress in the right direction. Equally, you might have a list of lots of things, lots of little things that you need to do. This is often the case for me at home, just little bits and bobs that need doing. And to do them makes a massive difference, but they really can get ignored as well. So I'll set the timer for 25 minutes and perhaps work through 10 things that I needed to do and feel really accomplished. And this has really, really helped me. I think by blocking out the distractions, by which I mean social media and emails and other ways that messages come to you, shutting those out means that you clear a little bit of space and calmness in your mind. And that calmness and focus then allows you to be working on that one thing at a time. And it's incredible, really, because you never quite know. I don't often look at the timer to see how long I've got left because I just trust in myself that when I'm doing the Pomodoro, I'm so focused that actually to even glance at the time to see how long I've been working or how long I've got left will throw me off track. So I just do the thing, and then when the timer goes off, I'll give myself a few minutes to stretch, move, have a glass of water, and then get back to a second 25 minutes. Now, this is something actually I offer my community and anyone that wants to join us, I run co-working sessions, and those co-working sessions are just an hour long. I bring people together over Zoom so we feel like we're not trying to do the stuff on our own. I reference back in the day when perhaps we might have worked in a corporate or just in a workplace, that we had other people around us. And imagine if you're in an open plan office and everyone else is working hard, but you're just scrolling Instagram. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. So I think that we've got the beauty of working for ourselves these days, and we can work in our homes and in our own comfort. But I do think that sometimes that can lead us to getting distracted and ending up going down a rabbit hole with social media or personal messages or what have you. So bringing us together at the co-working sessions, even though we're not working on the same business or the same projects, we are a tribe, if you like. We're an online or a virtual office where we're workmates supporting each other just by being there and just by getting focused together. And the energy is always really, really high. And actually, in the middle of, I just do 2 25-minute sessions within these co-working events, and we have a few minutes in the middle of those two just to feed back and to share with others what we've achieved, how that time went for us, what were our struggles. And it's really lovely because I think it makes everyone feel normal, and we've all cut out the distractions and we've all really reaped the rewards from that. So people get really focused, and I get very bossy and tell people to turn their phones off as well. But it works. It really, really works. So I would invite you to come along and join us for one of those. I'll pop a link in the show notes to the next few that are coming up. It's not a scary situation at all. We're very friendly, we're very warm, and we're incredibly supportive and encouraging, because when we work for ourselves, though it's wonderful to be our own boss and do what we want when we want, it can be incredibly lonely as well. So the co-working sessions are very much community focused, and really we've seen some great results come out of them as well. So now I'm going to take us on to 5 tips that I would love you to consider trying. You don't need to try them all, but it might be that one resonates with you and you think that it would work in your life to give it a go. So first of all, I think, and I haven't mentioned this yet today, but I think that self-care needs to be scheduled in and not done after all the jobs or squeezed into our day. I think it needs to be a non-negotiable. So number 1 is self-care. And this is my way of us trying to undo the busy and become calmer and more productive. So 1 is self-care. Number 2 is delegation. Now, I believe that delegation is key these days in both my business and in my home life. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I feel that I did used to think that I needed to be doing all the things. You run your own business and you wear all the hats. Well, I've now changed that messaging to myself, and I've also got a bit brave and accepted that someone else can do a lot of the things just as well, if not better and more productively than I can. So delegation, I think, takes a little bit of work. I used to be a virtual assistant myself, so I had to help business owners become comfortable with giving away work that was obviously their business was so precious to them, and they needed to really trust that I could do what they needed doing as well as them and care as much as them. So I understand from a business owner's point of view very much that it can take a little bit of work to start delegating, but give it a go. Find yourself a well-recommended virtual assistant and try a little thing at a time. You don't need to go from 0 to 60. You don't need to go from doing everything to then passing everything onto someone in one fell swoop. That is not what I'm encouraging here. Do it gently so you feel comfortable with it, and you then will start to really observe the benefits and the rewards that come from it, because the work will still get done and you will have a slightly clearer mind. You can do the things that only you can do during that time, rather than dashing around doing all the things that actually someone else can do on your behalf. In home life as well, if you feel like you're a person who does everything at home, then is there a way that you can have a conversation with anyone you live with to see whether, you could share some of the tasks? Or, for example, I quite often will do the Pomodoro technique with my boys, and I'll say, right, guys, we're going to do a 25-minute burst. Let's all have a few jobs to do and let's get really productive together. We put on some funky music, and my goodness, all those jobs that I had on my list are all done in 25 minutes because there are 3 of us doing it. So it can be utilized in home life as well. And a great example, if it's something you want to invest in, is taking time to find a cleaner. If cleaning the house and all the housework is something that takes up so much of your time and leaves you no time for yourself, is getting a cleaner in a good idea? Or utilising children. Not that I'm, of course, advocating that, but delegation is definitely something that can be used across home and business life. Number 3, set self-imposed time limits. Okay. They work a treat for me. I think that running my own business means that I make the decisions, which is wonderful. And I've already talked about that flexibility. And, there's so many good things about running your own business, but actually we don't have many people setting limits for us. So one job that might seem a little bit overwhelming or a bit boring might just get left, procrastinated on and never done. But if you set yourself a time limit, then you focus your mind more. Maybe even set yourself up with some kind of treat or reward for when you've done that thing. I know that lots of my clients will find it hard to do some of the harder things or the more dull things that they need to do in their business. But set yourself chunks of time, maybe going back to the Pomodoro technique and my co-working sessions. Bring those projects to the co-workings. If you're not able to self-impose the time limit, perhaps come and join us, and I promise you will start to see the important things being ticked off of your list. So number 4, saying no and saying yes. Yep, I know that does sound a little bit crazy. Let's go with no first. I think we're often very keen to please and to feel like we want to look able. We want to be helpful. We want to be supportive. But if by saying yes to somebody means that we're saying no to ourselves for things that we are committed to and really need to do in our own lives, then that's not really going to help us. And saying yes, I think we need to say yes more to help. We need to accept that we can't do it all, and we shouldn't do it all either. It's not going to help our health. It's not going to help our brains. And at the end of the day, we're not going to be happy if we are trying to do all the things against the clock, because we can't. We just can't. So saying no and saying yes is a must. And number 5 is changing our language, both internally and externally to others. And what I mean by this is speaking more kindly to ourselves and about ourselves, using almost like a different soundtrack in our minds, rather than, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, I'm going to be late, oh, I'm so busy, I've got so many things to do, I'm never going to get round to it. Take a breath. Start the day with affirmations of positivity. I can do this. I'm not going to take everything on. Enough is always enough. And take time to breathe and to just check in with your internal monologue every now and then. I think it's quite important actually, because I think our internal monologue can go off like a runaway train at times. Mine certainly has to be kept in check, for it can get quite negative and I'll be quite hard on myself for all the things I haven't done, but I won't necessarily stop to celebrate and enjoy the feeling after all the things that I have done. Crazy, maybe, or perhaps you can relate. So they are 5 small tips: self-care, delegation, self-imposed time limits, saying no and yes, and changing our internal and external language. I really hope that those will benefit you to have a think about, and I'd certainly love you to get in touch and tell me if any have resonated, or maybe if you'd put any to use, put them into practice, whether they made a difference for you. So let's breathe for a minute. I feel like I've brought a lot to you today, waffling on as always. And like I say, I hope that I will notice an improvement in my podcasting ability as time goes on. But we are going with the flow here and seeing how I get on from the start. So let's take a breath and just remember that calming ourselves and tapping into the present, especially when we feel like we've got too many things on, is really so beneficial. I'd also like to challenge you today to take some time after this podcast, when you have a moment, make a moment to sit with the word busy. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel happy and accomplished? Or does it make you feel a little bit uncomfortable and like you'd like to change it? Instead, I invite you to try sitting with some new words. Here are a few for you. Imagine your life like this: calm, gentle, accomplished, still, in control, productive, and focused. It would be great if you could take a little bit of time to just assess your life and business practice with these words in mind. Can you slow it down a little bit? Will the world stop turning? Possibly not. But just be kind to yourself. Be really kind, because even on the days when you feel you haven't accomplished much, I can almost bet that you will have accomplished absolutely tons. You're amazing. You need to remember that. You need to tell yourself that. And I really wanted to just thank you for listening today. And I look forward to speaking with you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.